Good morning. We are going through Virginia Woolf's Shakespeare's Sister. In our last class, we went through Judith Shakespeare in detail. When Woolf identifies that women were avoided from history, she suggested the students of Girton and Newham colleges to collect the details of women in 18th century. She makes a questionnaire to collect the details of women. Then she speaks about Jane Austen, Edgar Allan Poe, Mary Russell Mitford, Joanna Baillie to make us understand their struggle in literature. She starts to think about the comment of Bishop. I think all of you remembered well whatever was the comment of Bishop. It was impossible for any woman, past, present or to come, to have the genius of Shakespeare. So Virginia Woolf creates an imaginary character, Judith Shakespeare. We already identified the tragic end of Judith Shakespeare. I think there is no need to explain it again. Today we are going to start from the first paragraph in page number 9 in your textbook. All of you please take the textbook. The case of Judith points out how social pressures made it impossible for women of genius to exist and flourish in Shakespeare's time. Referring back to Bishop, Woolf thinks that he might have been right. For genius is not born among labouring, uneducated, servile people. It was not born in England among the Saxons and the Britons. It is not born today among the working classes. We already identified the life of Judith Shakespeare, the imaginary character of Virginia Woolf. She created Judith Shakespeare as the sister of the great Shakespeare. Judith Shakespeare was a talented girl, but what happened? The society didn't allow her to grow her talent in the world. So like that, Woolf thinks maybe Bishop's comment is right. For genius is not born among labouring, uneducated, servile people. It is very difficult to see the genius among labouring, uneducated and servile people. Servile people means slaves. It is very difficult to find out the genius among working class people, uneducated and slaves. It was not born in England among the Saxons and also the Britons. Maybe it is very difficult to find out the genius even in working class. What is the reason behind it? Why we can't see the talented woman in these classes? Virginia Woolf also shares the specific reason. A woman who was forced to human duties and responsibilities at a tender age. Women didn't get the opportunity to express their genius. We already identified women were forced to marry even when she was just 15 or 16 years old by their parents' force. So we can see that they are forced to take the human duties and responsibilities at their tender age. They didn't get the opportunity to express their genius. Women who started working almost before they were out of nursery didn't qualify. However, it is possible that among the working class, such women might have existed. She cites the case of Emily Bronte or a Robert Burns, but never got on these things to paper. She already reminds us it is very difficult to find out a genius in working class, uneducated and servile people. But we can see the genius, the women who talented in writing among the working class. She also cites the examples of Emily Bronte or Robert Burns, but we didn't get the evidence of their works. They didn't get the freedom to write what they wanted at that period. When we read the stories of a witch being ducked, a woman possessed by a devil, a wise woman selling herbs, very remarkable man who had a mother, wolf, feels we are on the track of a lost novelist. The author of these works is a suppressed poet, mute and inglorious Jane Austen. When we go through the stories of a witch being punished, a witch got the punishment, a woman controlled by a devil, or when we are reading the story of a wise woman selling herbs, medicinal plants, or very remarkable man who had a mother, a very controlled man who had a mother. Like that, when we go through the beautiful stories, we can see the human values and also the good women characters in these stories. When we read these stories, definitely Woolf reminds us we can feel the presence of a lost novelist. She also says that the author of these works is a suppressed poet, mute and inglorious, that means not very famous, Jane Austen. When we go through very heart touching stories of human life, very powerful and loving women characters, definitely the writer of these particular works may be a woman writer. Those writers, they are silent, they are very suppressed writers, they are also not very famous like Jane Austen in that period. She also speaks about another writer, Emily Bronte. Emily Bronte, who dashed her brains out on the moor or mopped and moved about the highways crazed with the torture that her gift had put her to. When we go through the works of Emily Bronte, definitely she composed her brains out on the uncultivated or cleaned and cut down about the highways. And she also spoke about the torture she got because of her talent. So here, through the life of Jane Austen and Emily Bronte, Virginia Woolf reminds us they suffered a lot to make a space in literature. Woolf thinks the anonymous who wrote so many poems without signing them was often a woman. She shares the life of Edward Fitzgerald. She made the ballads and folk songs. That's why Woolf reminds us when we go through the anonymous who wrote so many poems without their name and sign, there is no doubt it is a woman, because they didn't get the freedom to write and publish their own works. So such women writers, they wrote their works without their identity. I repeat, that's why I told you, when we read very heart-touching stories of women characters, definitely it would write by a woman writer. So Woolf reminds us the anonymous who wrote so many poems without signing them was often a woman. She also shares the life of Edward Fitzgerald. She was a poet and a translator in 1809 to 1883. She composed many ballads and folk songs. Then we can move to the next paragraph. Any woman who born with a great gift in the 16th century would certainly have gone crazed, shot herself, or ended her days in some lonely cottage outside the village, half witch, half wizard, feared and mocked at. We already identified the life of Judith Shakespeare. Even she was the sister of great Shakespeare. She was also talented girl like her brother. But what happened in her life? So any woman who born with a great gift or talent in 16th century, definitely she would go to mad. Otherwise she would suicide, or she would end her days in some lonely cottage outside the village. She would not be active. She would not interact with the others. She becomes half witch, half wizard because of the fear towards the society. She didn't get the freedom to express in front of others. She didn't get the freedom to speak, read and write. It is also likely that all those women had been labelled witches were actually women of talent driven insane. We can see that they are known as witches. Actually, because of their talent, they were forced to mad. They are living in such a society. A highly gifted girl who had tried to use her gift for poetry would have been so thwarted and hindered by other people. She must have lost her health and sanity. I already told you, a girl who blessed with talent, she would go mad, or she would kill herself, or she would spend the life alone, or she would half witch or wizard. That means she would not be very active in her life. She becomes passive. So here we can see that a highly gifted girl who tried to use the gift for poetry, definitely she should be prevented and stopped by other people. I think if you remembered well, when Judith Shakespeare started to write, scribbled something, at the moment her parents reminded her, you are a woman, you should cook tasty dishes, you can mend the stockings, like that, but you should not walk on the moon. So we can see that a highly gifted girl who always thwarted and hindered by other people. As the result, she has lost her health and sanity. She lost her ability to think normal. She becomes mad. No woman could have walked to London and stood at a stage door and forced her way into the presence of an actor managers without doing herself a violence and suffering an anguish which may have been irrational for chastity. But when we are going through the real life of a woman in Elizabethan period, we can't see a girl is ready to go to London. She is not at all ready to stand at a stage door. She will not meet an actor managers because they have been irrational for chastity. What is chastity? Chastity means virginity. Chastity had then, it has even now a religious importance in a woman's life. So here Virginia Woolf says chastity, it is the most powerful weapon they are using to prevent the talents of women. It is now a religious importance in a woman's life. It has wrapped itself round with nerves and instincts that to cut it free and bring it to the light of a day demands courage of the rarest. So we can see that chastity has covered itself round with the nerves and instincts in each and every woman's life. It is very difficult to cut it. Definitely women should need courage of the rarest to break chastity. I want to repeat the main points in the page 9. We already identified it is very difficult to find out the genius among laboring, uneducated, servile people, because women were forced to human duties and responsibilities at their tender age. So they would not get the opportunity to express their talent. At the same time, Virginia Woolf reminds us we can see the talent of women in working class. She also cites the case of Emily Bronte or Robert Burns. Then she speaks about the anonymous writers. When we go through heart-touching stories of women characters, definitely it would be written by a woman, but we can't get the details of the writer. She also speaks about Jane Austen and also Emily Bronte. She also shares the life of Edward Fitzgerald, the poet who wrote ballads and folk songs. Even any woman who born with a great gift in poetry, she would have gone mad. If she starts to write poems, she would have lost her health and sanity, ability to think normal. Then what is the reason behind it? At the moment she starts to speak about chastity. Chastity means virginity. Now we can see that chastity has even a religious importance in a woman's life. ബിഷപ്പിൻ്റെ കമൻറ്റിനുള്ള ഉത്തരമായിട്ടാണ് വെർജീനിയ വുൾഫ് ആദ്യം ജൂഡിത്ത് ഷേക്സ്പിയർ എന്ന ഒരു ഇമാജിനറി ക്യാരക്ടർ കൊണ്ടുവന്നത്. അതിനുശേഷം വീണ്ടും ആ ഒരു കമൻറ്റിനെ പറ്റി തന്നെ ആലോചിച്ചപ്പോഴാണ് വെർജീനിയ വുൾഫ് പറയുന്നത് തീർച്ചയായും വർക്കിംഗ് ക്ലാസ്സിലെ അത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ടാലൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സ്ത്രീകളെ നമുക്ക് കാണാൻ സാധിക്കും. പക്ഷേ they didn't have the right to publish their identity. We already spoke about so many women writers like Emily Bronte, Jane Austen, Edward Fitzgerald. They didn't get the freedom to use their own identity, but they wrote about heart-touching stories of women. Even a woman is blessed with talent in poetry, what happens? They would be killed by herself, or they would be mad, because the society would never allow her to grow in literature. Woolf also shares the another important reason that hinder the life of a talented woman in poetry. It is chastity. This is how the life of a woman with Shakespeare's genius might have looked at that time, the narrator argues. But she goes on to assert that it is unthinkable that any woman in Shakespeare's day should have had Shakespeare's genius, or no more than the first gem of genius, and certainly not the kind that would ever have translated itself into brilliant writing. For genius is not born among laboring, uneducated, servile people, except with the rarest exceptions, and even then that social condition glares through as a limitation of the art. In that age, genius engendered witches and lunatics among women, and Anonymous, she argues, was most likely a woman as well. The writer reinforces the point that suppressed talent can only result either in suicide or isolation, and such women have been labeled as witches and have been constantly mocked. She also speaks about the imaginary character Judith Shakespeare. We already identified the tragic end of Judith Shakespeare. So the writer reminds us a woman is blessed with talent. She would forced to suicide or isolated herself. Later, they should be labeled as witches and have been constantly mocked. We can move to the last paragraph. In 16th century, we can't get the details of a woman as a poet and a playwright. So Woolf starts to look at the shelf, but she doesn't get a play by woman. So she starts to think about anonymity. She already identified now women wrote plays. She started to search in all the shelves, but she didn't get any plays written by a woman. So she started to think about anonymity. Why women can't publish a book without their identity? തീർച്ചയായും ഒത്തിരി പവർഫുള്ളായിട്ടുള്ള സ്ത്രീകൾ ജീവിച്ചിരുന്ന ആ കാലഘട്ടത്ത് ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള സ്ത്രീകളുടേതായിട്ടുള്ള മൂല്യങ്ങളെ പറ്റി പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള ഒരുപാട് കഥകൾ വായിക്കുമ്പോൾ അങ്ങനൊരു സാധ്യതയെ പറ്റി വെർജീനിയ വുൾഫ് ആഴത്തിൽ ചിന്തിക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങി. It was right. In 19th century, Currer Bell, George Eliot, George Sand started to use pseudonyms. They started to use the name of a man. Finally, Virginia Woolf recognizes that There were powerful women, talented women in that century. They started to write under the male names. They started to use pseudonyms, name of men. In 19th century, we can see very strong women writers. Currer Bell. Currer Bell, actually it was the pen name of Charlotte Bronte. She wrote the famous work Jane Eyre. George Eliot. It was the pseudonym of Mary Ann Evans. She was the English novelist. George Sand. It was the pen name of Amandine Lucille Dupin. She was French novelist and memoirist. I hope all of you understood what Virginia Woolf speaks till the page number 9. All of you please go through the textbook well. We will continue this chapter in our next class. Thank you.